Good morning, everybody. This is Oliver Joyce. That is Oliver Joyce, one I prepared earlier. Welcome to another Swords and Sandals developer update. And this is a good one. Last week, I was asking your feedback about the combat system because, as you know, if you watched the last video, I wasn't sure which way to go with where to take the combat. And the system that I proposed very early on in the piece, the three-phase system where basically your gladiator could move up to 3 times in a phase, depending on how fast they were. You could, move forward, attack, shield block, or jump back, cast a spell, rest. Proved to be a little cumbersome in reality because I did some initial programming of it, and the problem was it was just very hard to follow what was going on because your gladiator would do something, other gladiator would do something, and you're going, wait, what did I do? What did he do? How did that play out? It was just too confusing, and I think it just didn't work in my head as well as I thought it'd be because I'd originally planned it for a sort of a kung fu game that I'd been hoping to make, and I was hoping to sort of do this sort of block, punch, block, which kind of works much better in a kung fu game than Sword and Sandals, which although it has quick turns, they're not as fast as you'd see in a sort of a combat game, kung fu combat kind of game, which I want to make one day. So what I was asking last week was, what do you think about having this attack and defense phase thing where you basically, the attack phase is much like Swords and Sandals, except that you would allow it to go attack up, middle, and lower, and then defense, you'd also be blocking up, middle, or lower, and if you didn't get the block right, you get hit in the head or, hit in the torso, whatever. I worked on that for a few days, and I listened to a lot of your feedback, some great comments, both on the YouTube channel and the Discord, and in some tweets to me and so on. And the consensus was mixed. People were like, yeah, that sounds cool. Other people were like, yeah, I don't know about that. It feels like it's still too complicated. And, I programmed it for a few days, and I'm going to say I agree with you. I think it was too complicated in the end. It's actually something that if you go back into my YouTube channel, deep into the archives, you can find a very early version of Swords and Sandals called Who Wants to Be a Gladiator? So go back and try and find that video if you want. I might even try and put a link below. You can see in that, I'd made a very early Flash build, a prototype of the game, and that actually had an attack phase and a defense phase. And I'd always sort of tried to work that back into the game to think, is there something there? The harsh reality is defense isn't that much fun. When I was playing this Swords and Sandals 6 iteration of the attack phase, defense phase, what I discovered was that when I was in the defense phase, I just wanted to get back into the attack. It was like, oh, yeah, I suppose I better choose a direction up. Okay, fine. I blocked it or not. But that's not a feeling that you want in your game. You don't want to be going, oh, I've got to go through this just to get back to the fun part again. So I very quickly realized that's not going to fly in Sword and Sandals. So that has fallen by the wayside. And so what are we left with? Classic Sword and Sandals, of course, has power attack, which has a low chance to hit and does extra damage. Normal attack, or whatever it is, standard attack, which speaks for itself, and of course quick attack, which is faster and does less damage. I still wanted to try and get away from that a little bit, make it a little bit more tactical. So I was just umming and ahhing about what to do when I went on the Discord channel last week, and one of the regulars there, big shout out to Matt, how you doing, my buddy? He sent me an image of something, and it was genius. And I want to give this guy a full shout out. He'll be getting a copy of the game for his thanks because this is clever. And it's something that I'd kind of thought about in the past, but I hadn't really kind of worked out what to do. I'm going to show you the image that he sent me. Okay. So what we see here is the classic gladiator from Swords and Sandals 2, of course. And he's got 5 areas there. He's got head, which is basically the power attack, torso, normal attack, leg, quick attack. They have different chances to hit. So you have your 30% chance to hit the head, 50% on the torso, 60% on the leg, arm and hand as well, which have a power attack and a quick attack. And that got me thinking a lot. Okay, so what if, the head basically is like a power attack in that if you hit someone in the head, chances are you're going to do a lot more damage. And if you hit them in the legs, you'll still hurt them, but, not as life-threatening as what you see there. So what I realized... Oh, that's me again. It comes up automatically when I switch to that window. What I thought was, this is a cool idea, and it means that you've got your power attacks and your quick attacks, but they become more strategic because there are now new ways to end the fight, and to potentially disable your enemies or to knock off their shield and so on. So, let's say, for instance, you have made a gladiator and you've bought some armor and you've got a really good helmet, lots of armor in that helmet, but you've neglected your breastplate. It's only got a little bit of armor there, and you've got strong leggings. Your enemy sees this in battle and goes, okay, look, I could attack his head, but he's got a lot of armor in the head. And you'll see this. You'll see up in the UI of the game, the little battle interface up the top, you'll see now a little graphic which has helmet, torso, arms, legs. 4 areas, not 5 like that picture had, because that was just one too many, but has 4 areas. And as depending on how much armor the enemy has, you'll see them in different colors. So fully armored gladiator will have, for instance, a gold helmet, and then as that gets more damaged, it might go gray and then eventually red when it's near breaking, and then disappear, be black or whatever when it's completely gone. So if I see my enemy, and I know my enemy has a big helmet, which is a lot of armor, I wanted to attack him. I've flipped the analogy around here to make it me instead of the enemy. What then will happen is I go, well, I'm not going to bother trying to attack his head because he's got too much armor there. But I see that his torso is weak. So I'm going to be attacking his torso, get a few hits in there. You get enough hits in on the torso, armor breaks on that area. You've still got a number for your total armor, but it's less important than specific armor values for how much head armor you have, how much torso armor you have. And when I attack his torso, bam, armor comes off. Right. Now his chest is exposed. So the next hit I get in his torso will of course take some health off, but now has the potential to do a critical hit. And that, can be double damage, or it might just, rip out his heart completely or something like that. That's your torso, and that can be an instant kill. Same with the head. You hit him in the head, chance to stun, or chance to instant kill kind of thing once you've knocked his helmet off, because that's how it will be in a real fight. Where it gets fun is that we have the arms. If you knock the armor off, you chance to knock off his shield, remove his shield. Shield basically will, once you have a shield, of course, you can block extra damage and so on. If you get rid of a person's shield, they're much more likely to, not be able to defend themselves. What I'm thinking with the shield is if you have a shield raised, it doesn't matter what the enemy selects, the shield can absorb that damage until it's broken, because I think that's kind of a fun way of having the shield. Say if I attack the legs, we might find that remove the leg armor, bam, you might be able to completely to sort of disable the legs to the point where they can't jump anymore, or they can't walk anymore. So there's a lot of things I want to play with that. There will be, of course, limb decapitation and so on, heads coming off, arms cutting off. That will, end the fight, and you'll see blood spurts and so on. I've toyed with the idea of having it so sort of a Monty Python Holy Grail style thing, where if you knock their legs off at their knees or something, then they fall down and they can still sort of wander around. Pretty hard to do animation-wise. We'll see what we can come up with. If I can make it work, I will. Otherwise, no. So I'm pretty excited about where this new combat system is going. I've started building it in, and it won't be as complicated as it sounds. You will see all the information you need in the battle bar up the top. But what it means is that you don't just buy your armor and then just goes to a total armor value. You have to be now prioritizing. If you are weak in the arms, you need better gauntlets and shoulder guards. If you're neglecting your sandals, swords and sandals, you need your sandals, right? Then you need to be buying more leg armor and that kind of thing. And, when your enemy has a crap helmet, attack him in the head. And there will also be certain skills that might get you plus 10% when attacking the head, or does double damage against their legs, and I can basically play around with that and have quite interesting sort of different attacks and so on. And it makes it a little bit more interesting than just a regular power, normal, quick attack. So huge shout out to Matt from the Discord and to everyone else who came up with your suggestions in the combat, in the Discord and the YouTube channel. It really gave me a lot to think about. And that's the beauty of this channel, being able to interact with you guys and get direct feedback on my ideas, just so I know that I'm not about to put something in the game that could be potentially a disaster. And in previous versions of Swords and Sandals, I did that. I basically would just be making the game without feedback, and I put a lot of things in there that were not necessarily the right choice for the game. So to get this feedback from the community is indeed invaluable. So yeah, this week working on that, working on the battle UI, the little health bars and the armor bars, and there's something I'm going to talk about next week, and that's the battle rage meter. That's going to have some tweaks to it, which I think you'll like. Hint: think Darkest Dungeons. If you've played that, something from Darkest Dungeons is coming into Swords and Sandals. There's a mechanic in that I quite like, which I'll be adding, and it's to do with the battle rage meter, positive or negative. Think about it. In other Swords and Sandals news, my business partner and I have decided to remove Swords and Sandals Spartacus from sale from the mobile stores, the Google Play and Apple, the iOS store. And that's just because A, it wasn't selling, it wasn't getting that many downloads, and B, it just wasn't that great an experience for many people. There's something about touch screen controls, using it on your phone, like that kind of thing, that just doesn't work. You're playing the game, you just want tactile feedback. You want a joystick, a gamepad, or even a keyboard. But when you're just playing, we tried really hard to get it working nicely on the mobile, and it's playable, but it's just not great. And especially if you have an older phone, there were collision detection issues where people would report falling through the floor and that kind of thing. So we've taken it off sale from the mobile stores for now. If in the future there is a bit of demand and we decide we can make it work, then it'll be back. Look, this isn't something, honestly, that's going to impact most of you. Most people weren't interested in Spartacus, to be honest. I personally love it, and if you have a Switch, please buy it. It's really cheap. It's a couple of dollars or something. So, it's a retro pixel art platform combat game that on the surface doesn't look anything special, but I put a lot of my heart into that, and it was a homage from me to the classic games like Rastan Saga and Black Tiger and that kind of thing. In hindsight, A, I shouldn't have called it Sword and Sandals Spartacus because it really had nothing to do with the franchise, and B, probably shouldn't have made it in the end because there are so many pixel art platform games out there that, I've been in this game for a long time, and even now I make lots of mistakes. So Spartacus was a mistake, if only timing-wise, just from, there are that many games out there, but I'm really proud of it. And, sad to see it no longer on the app stores, but there's no point having a game on the app stores if that game isn't going to be played at an optimum experience. So Vale Spartacus, you're a good one, but you can still get it as part of the Legendarium and on Steam. All right, my friends, this week in Sword and Sandals development will be more and more combat. Got a new armor set to put in. We're putting the automatons in as well this week, which will be fun. I'm looking forward to doing some robot voices for them and stuff in the future. All right. Hey, friends, have a great week. Look after yourselves and each other. I've got a little follow-up news for those who care. My friend Juniet, who I mentioned last week, had some real health problems, is on the mend, and heard some really good news from his doctors. So big shout out to you as well, and the power of hope, a real thing. All right, on that note, look after yourselves, and bye for now.